I realized that there was a level of drag that my business had because I was trying to play in a space that I wasn't masterful in. And there are people like you in the world that literally play in that space and have mastered that space to sort of elevate people's ideas and brand voice, the way that they talk and communicate around their business and how they reach consumers. Good afternoon. It's Anna Kilinski with the Anna K in Town real estate team here in Atlanta. And we have a really fun guest here today in our small business spotlight. We have Cassidy Herold. She is the CEO and owner of Creative Cast. And we picked her up through a dear friend. And she has literally taken over all of our marketing, which I'm really grateful for. And I'm happy to have you here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for having me here today. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. And hopefully all of your clients are a lot easier to work with than we are. I know we have a lot of feedback at times. Well, let's jump into it. I want to learn a little bit about your business. What I do want to tell our friends that are watching is that you have a pretty impressive book of business. I see that you've worked with clients such as Coke, Burt's Bees, and you have a really impressive resume. Tell us a little bit about the types of creative things that you specialize in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I started Creative Cast to help businesses grow and ultimately make a lasting positive impact on the world. So we're an award-winning branding and design agency. And basically, our process enables you to grow your brand faster and easier, ensuring that your business really aligns from the inside out and is able to really cut through the noise and deliver that clear message with a consistent visual style. That's really goal focused that leads to those strategic results that we're looking for. So it could be anything. It really could be logos. It could be a website. It could be a video. It could be marketing materials. And so it's a really fun business to be in because it's really just any creative communications and really helping to distill down that message and really tying it back to that brand story so that we can create a compelling brand that really resonates with the target audience.
I love that. And obviously, as a realtor and a real estate company, we're very consumer facing, right? We're sort of little micro celebrities in our market. We sometimes put our pictures up on things, or we put our brand on all of our signs that are in people's front yards, by the way. Still find that to be interesting and weird at the same time. When you're in any industry, you need to, everybody's in sales, right? You're selling, everybody's always selling something. And so It's really interesting because as somebody who's run a business for 15 plus years, if you're like me, you're probably a control freak and you like to kind of have your hand in everything. Like you want to do your own P&L, you want to do your own postcards, you want to make your own logo and figure out all the ways to do things. And I did that for so long. And what I quickly realized, well, it probably wasn't so quick, but I realized that there was a level of drag that my business had because I was trying to play in a space that I wasn't masterful in. And there are people like you in the world that literally play in that space and have mastered that space to sort of elevate people's ideas and brand voice, the way that they talk and communicate around their business and how they reach consumers, because we can't be everything to everyone. And you've been really good at taking our ideas and our concepts and putting them into collateral and helping us look very uniform so that when the consumer sees Anna K in Town, it's consistent. Tell us how you got started in this business.
Well, I actually spent a lot of time in Atlanta. I graduated from Georgia Tech. So actually my background and sort of segue into design was really more of a coding background and doing website development.
Wow.
And then from there, I really sort of backtracked and went back to design and realized how much I enjoyed sort of the creative side of things and definitely the creative thinking. So I got my master's degree from SCAD a few years ago as well.
So you're not bright at all.
No, and I do love school, I have to say. I think I'm definitely a continuous learner. I believe in that. And then after graduating with my degree, I did work for several agencies in the Atlanta area. Which was really fulfilling to work with really creative teams. And that really allowed me to network and get to know in the Atlanta area a lot of different creators like copywriters, video editors, website developers. So as needs come in from clients, I'm able to scale my business and tap some of those other resources. So it's been a really awesome experience.
Yeah. So you're the visionary behind your operation, but as projects come along, if it is for somebody like Coke, or if it is for somebody that's a larger organization that has a big scale project, you have people in your world that you can pull from and assemble the best team to move that forward.
Exactly,
I love
exactly. And
that.
I really feel like partnership is what drives success. So one of the things I've loved about working with the Anna K in Town team is I just think that everyone has been so collaborative. And I've really enjoyed getting to know all the agents and working together to really tell that story.
Yeah, you got a bunch of bosses.
It does seem that way sometimes.
Yeah, well, you've handled it quite well. At least to us, you've been kind about that. Well, I love that. So obviously, there's a lot of brand strategists out there. There's a lot of people that call themselves storytellers or
Mhm.
creatives. What would you say sets you apart from everybody else in the Atlanta industry that might be trying to book the same type of client that you're looking for?
Yeah. I think where we're different is the fact that because the background is so rooted in coding, it's really sort of a melding of right brain and left brain thinking. I think we've got the creative chops, which is wonderful, but I also think we have the strategy and the data, and we're really looking at things with that sort of right brain thinking.
Mhm.
So I think that that's really what sets us apart. It's just really that sort of powerful merging of both.
I love that. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And so, as these projects come across your desk, like how do you evaluate what you will take on versus what you won't take on, or what you're maybe not the best fit for?
Yeah, I have to say I'm one of those people I have a hard time saying no, so I want to take on everybody. But I definitely work with clients to say, I think that this would be a better use of your time. This would be a better use of the direction, or if we're going to create some touch points, these are the ones I would recommend we focus on. So it's just really working together. I really go back to that collaborative nature. I think it should be a win-win for
Mhm.
you and for me, and really be able to tell that story in an effective way, and work together to figure out the best way to do that.
I
And if
love
that's with
that.
me, great. If it's not, then I definitely want to help point people in the right direction, and make the connection with the people that can help the best.
I love that. What are some myths about branding? Kind of help me understand as a business owner the importance of the storytelling, not
Yeah.
just the visual.
Branding, it's sort of an abstract concept. It's hard to really define in a way because it's really how the public perceives your business. And so,
Mhm.
you're doing a lot to sort of foster and craft this brand identity, but ultimately it's the customer or the audience that really crafts that story in their mind. So what we're trying to do is really use all of the available touch points, and that could be business cards, and that could be a logo, that could be your website, it could be an app, it could be a postcard or a flyer that comes in the mail. But like you said before, just making sure that all the visuals, the messaging, the tone of voice, all of those things play together so that when someone sees that deliverable or that postcard come in the mail, they immediately know that it's Anna Kay in town. They don't have to think twice. They've become so familiar with seeing your brand throughout all of these touch points, that it builds that recognition, and it also builds that trust because they've seen you, they've gotten to know you, and ultimately that trust is what's going to lead to the conversion, or a client or a lead. And so it's really maintaining that sort of brand ecosystem and making sure that we're hitting all of those touch points.
It almost sounds like it is sort of this unspoken familiarity. Like, I know the types of people they might work with or how they might deliver service based on the experience that they think that they feel, even before they
Exactly.
do business with us. Is that what branding is, would you say?
Exactly. It's more of that feeling.
Yeah, I love that. So what kind of research do you take a client through, or do you do in order to kind of come up with the voice or the brand for a particular company?
Yeah. So normally, if we're starting off with more of that strategic foundational branding, we'll do a big workshop with all the key stakeholders, and really go through all of these sort of big complex questions about our why, what is the purpose, what are our values, how do we want to be perceived, what's our personality, what's the tone of voice, like really going through all of these things and creating that brand roadmap. We've laid that foundation so that we're ready to forge ahead. But usually starting with some sort of a workshop and really getting, I think your unique perspective.
Yep.
I think it's important to keep in mind that as the client, I mean, your business better than me, and so really working together to figure out what is the best story, what is the best fit, and how to best tell this. Lay the foundation of the messaging.
I'm going to ask you a question that I don't know that I want the answer to. It's a little too late. But for somebody who's starting a business, and I understand that real estate agents typically are the product at times, right? We bring a unique value proposition and intellectual property. But now I've scaled to a business, and it's not just Anna Kilinski. So when somebody's starting a company, and you can use the real estate industry, for example, would you advise them to brand themselves like a Madonna? Or would you suggest that like they kind of come up with maybe more of a collective brand that's not necessarily hinged on a person?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the brand. I think there's certain brands, like if you were, somebody that's an artist or something where you are the brand, looking at it from a place that you want to continue to grow, you want to
Right.
continue to evolve your business. And so making sure that ultimately we're thinking far enough in the future that we're not just setting you up for a logo for the next year. We're really thinking this through and giving you the branding that you'll need to really have a successful business launch.
And surprisingly, I did not go through that exercise when I started 15 years ago. And now we are here where we are. And it almost feels like we would sort of lose some of our identity because Anna K in Town team, because it is a team, it's kind of a household name in certain neighborhoods, and we love that, right? So there's this it's not even an ego thing at this point. It's more like we have so much of a long tail that it becomes difficult to think about what could make a splash as impactful. We'd have to really go hard at it, right?
I feel you. I have the same thoughts because obviously Creative Cast. And if I'm being really transparent, when I started this company, it was really right after college, and I thought that it was just me, and I didn't necessarily have as grand of visions as I do now. But at the same time, I feel like my clients know me under this name, and so it kind of makes sense to just keep it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of starting points, and I find that people come to me. I have, as you mentioned, several Fortune 100 companies that I work with as well. But I also work with a lot of entrepreneurs or people who are just really getting started with their business idea. And that's always really fulfilling as well, is to really work with somebody and get their business launched.
Well, you probably have a lot more autonomy to kind of make it its own organic story. Whereas I feel like if you're going into Coke, they kind of already have like an opinion about
Yeah.
what they are, So I kind of like the ground zero piece.
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool.
It's the white canvas, and you've got to start from scratch.
I love that. Well, through all of your schooling, and obviously I feel like creatives have to have inspiration. Where do you get all your inspiration? Who's inspiring you?
I have to say I am a big fan of music, movies, books. I mean, I think the more you absorb, just the more things that will come to mind as you're brainstorming and working with clients. And you never know, different connections that you might make between things. I think that's really the power of creative thinking, is seeing those little connections that maybe, you otherwise wouldn't have noticed. And so I just think being like a sponge and absorbing as much as possible. I also have a lot of websites I go to for inspiration that, I think it's helpful to see what everyone else is doing in the industry. And I think that there's been a lot of really interesting advancements, especially around AI in the last year, which has been really,
That's a great
really
point.
too. Yeah.
How does it going to affect? Well, so obviously for copy, I can understand that. Well, AI does a lot of digital imagery. Like, so is that disrupting you all in a way, or is it helping you?
I think there are concerns that it could, but ultimately, I like to think that if used effectively, these technologies and these tools are only going to make our lives easier. And I think it can increase our productivity, increase the workflow. I mean, I think we can be smart. I've found that some of the copy generating tools are really helpful for getting that jump start on writing something, and then going back through and really spending the time editing it yourself. But I think it can really improve the efficiency. And if we're able to create more content, then ultimately we'll reach more people. So, I'm hopeful that I think it will actually lead to some really positive results.
I love that. That's a good answer. When the internet came out, real estate agents were like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
And would you be surprised to know that more consumers use real estate agents today than they did before the internet?
See, there you go.
I know. So it's just a lever point. I love that. Well,
Mhm.
what a pleasure learning more about your business. And I think anybody that wants to find you for any sort of marketing or creative needs, how would they do that?
Yeah, you can reach me on my website. It's creativecast.com for more info, or you can just reach out to me directly at Cassidy@creativecast.com.
I love it. Awesome. Well, we're really grateful. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Awesome.